Hey guys, I'm just gonna ramble about some life stuff. I don't really think I have a specific subject for this video, but I haven't been on here in like a week, so you're welcome to stick around if you want. I've been feeling depressed. I will say that the last couple of days. I still go through some days where I can have some really dark depression to where it's like I feel dead inside. I still go through that sometimes. Last couple of days have been really bad for that. But there's been a lot, I guess. I don't know about a lot. There's been different things happen the last couple of weeks. Like, I guess a couple of weeks ago, we had some snow here, and I had to call into work on one day because where I live about 30 minutes away from the adult store I work at. So I live closer to the mountains uh, where I'm at. I live not too far from the Smoky Mountains. So anyway, my neighborhood was icy from some snow we had. Where over by the shop, they're on a main road, so I've been able to clear that road over there. A couple of the main roads they could clear. My manager kind of upset me, it triggered me pretty bad because I've been mistreated in a lot of workplaces. This place, I really hadn't had any incidents like that. Manager answered the phone in a foul mood when I called. It's like he knew I was going to call in, even though I hadn't called in. I've been there since just November, but I hadn't called in for anything. But he has had one person that has called in a lot. It's kind of like he's taking out on me. It's like, look, I'm not going to risk my safety, or I own my car, but if I wreck my car, go off the road, and I can't go anywhere. I can't go to work. So anyway, he was threatening with a write-up and all that. So I guess you do what you got to do. I said, I'm not agreeing with you, though. That's just how I am. I will tell it like it is, especially if I think I'm being bullied or abused in any way. I said, you can do what you want. I'm not signing it. I said, we're just going to have to agree to disagree, and that's just it. So anyway, there was some huffing and puffing, but when I went back to work, he just acted like it didn't happen, and nothing was ever said again. And I think honestly he was just having a bad time because what happens, one of the other people we have there, one of the women he had hired around the time he hired me, has called in a lot, and I think he's had to work because of it. What happens, we have such a limited staff that he ends up having to pull the shifts or whatever, and then we had been preparing to open a new store, so he's been dealing with that. But anyway, he just didn't say anything. It was like it never happened. But the point is that incident triggered me because I didn't expect that coming from him. But that was just one thing. And then not long ago, actually a few days ago, I had an old manager come in there, one of the many narcissistic managers I've dealt with in past jobs. This was a guy I actually had a yelling match with when I worked at the Titanic Museum attraction some years ago, and he was an abusive guy. He ended up, from what I understand, after I had left there, he ended up eventually getting fired for abuse toward another manager, a female manager. And he was misogynistic toward the girls there. He's always trying to hook up with the girls there. And anyway, me and him didn't get along at all. He came in, and I was like, I didn't recognize him from the back, but I have to ID everybody that comes in. I go up to him, and the girl he's with is also somebody that used to work there. And he turns around and is like, oh, wow, instant recognition. I was just like, though, I didn't really know what to say at first. Like, oh, you look familiar. And he's just like, tells me his name, like, all bowed up kind of, but he looks horrified at the same time to see me. But I'm kind of amused by it because I'm just like, oh, wow. And I'm sure he had all kinds of thoughts. He sees me in this adult store, and I have now long hair, and I look different, I act different. I honestly think I have more of a feminine aura about me in ways now, and because I'm more in my natural state. And they just wandered around a minute. I think I said to him, I said, it's weird how you run into people that in the craziest ways. And he said, it certainly is. And he just walks around. They look at a little bit of stuff, but he's whispering. He looks upset, and they just leave. So I was like, I didn't get upset about it. I just thought, oh wow, he feels so insecure, and he was like that back then. That's why I think a lot of people that act in the ways he would act. He was a bully, and as I've said before, bullies they are insecure, and it's like he had to get out of there as quick as he could almost. But now I just find it amusing. I was like, yeah, okay. But that's the first person I've known that come in there from my past or anything. But as far as the depression, it comes from different reasons. Just the gender dysphoria. I battle resistance with, I think I have a resistance to to moving forward. You know, I've talked about my personality issues I've had throughout my life, and then living fake masculine characters. But being 49 years old and where I'm at now in life, it's a big deal. I think it's a big deal for anyone at any age they're going to make a decision to say, I might transition from male to female or female to male. It's not something you take lightly, I don't think. I don't think you should, because it's such a life-altering thing. And for me, if I went all in on it, I'm going to go all in on it. I would take hormones to look more female, have more attributes. I would want to fit in, and would train my voice, work really much more on heightening my voice, and I would try to see if I could work in affording facial hair removal and on my neck, and really get that taken care of. What I would probably do, let's say if I was going to do it, is I would probably take the hormones, start trying to get my facial and neck hair removed, and then I would still live my life, and I would let the hormones take effect. This would work best for me. Give the hormones time to change my body, like maybe give me breast and shift my weight to a more appropriate way. See how that's going to work to where I start looking more female, and work on my voice and get the hair removed. As that's all taking place, then I would try. This is how I'd work my way societal wise into transition. If I was going to do it, I guess I'm just letting you all know this is how I would go about it. I've gave it a lot of thought, but I resist because it's just scary. And my mom, something else that was triggering, and probably why I'm having some depression too, is my mom called, I guess several nights ago around 3 a.m. and she had a bad dream about me. And I'm up late at night. I'm a night owl. I'm not used to her calling like that. She usually goes to bed. Or even if she is up for some reason, she usually don't call me like around that time. So I get a little worried anyway if she calls at that time, because I'm thinking, oh, is something wrong with her or my stepdad? And but it wasn't the case. She just immediately asked when I answered the phone. I was watching TV, and she's like, are you okay? I was like, yeah. It's like, I'm worried when you call like this late, so I'm wondering if you're okay, or my dad's okay. And she's like, yeah, I just had a bad dream. And I said, well, what was the dream about? And she didn't know. She couldn't remember. She just knew it was bad. And I worry about that. Not to say a dream comes true or whatever, but it just she felt like something bad had happened to me, detrimentally. But, it's understandable in ways, I guess, because I've had feelings of self deletion, of wanting to leave the world, things like that. So I get it. But then what's happening now is my dad, I guess, has figured out what is going on with me. So he started talking to her, and she told him, and I was a little upset about that because I didn't really want her to just do that. But then I remember being there at Christmas, and I felt like he perceived me different. My hair is much longer. I do think I act, as I said, with more of a feminine aura. I'm just, to be honest, I'm kinder, and I'm nicer. I'm not angry all the time. I've been, that was one thing throughout my life, just being angry all the time. And I think it's because of living fake personalities. So a little nervous to be around him at that time because I felt like he would perceive me somewhat different. And anyway, I think that's what happened, and I think he's been questioning. He just kind of realized something more was happening, and my mom just told him more. So now I kind of get it, and he's not mad. He's like saying to her, "How could we not see the signs? Could you?" What I mean, they're looking for. I feel like they're looking for cliche things, and my mom's going back over my childhood looking for cliche type things. Like, a lot of people here, they think that all people that end up with gender dysphoria or might be trans, they were the guys that want to be girls were playing with dolls, and they were always like that. And that's just not always the case. I've discussed this before. If you watch my video I did recently, about an hour long, on gender dysphoria, I talk about this happens. It doesn't always be, it's not always super clear in childhood or teenage years. A lot of times it manifests throughout pieces of your life, and then it can really manifest instead of childhood manifesting very strong. It can manifest really strong when you're older. It can come from a lot of things: trauma, genetics. I think with me, it could be genetics, traumas adding up, not having a strong male figure through my childhood years. My stepdad came along at 12, and he had issues, and he's admitted that. My mother's had issues, but they're not solely responsible. So I told my mom, I said, "You're not solely responsible for this." And that's what she's beating herself up, trying to find reasons. And I said, well, were there contributing factors with her and people raising me? Sure. I mean, but they're not the only reasons. And that's what I was trying to tell her. I said, there's just several things that can play into it. And even for myself, I think even spiritually, there's reasons. Like, I believe in reincarnation. I think I was a woman in at least 2 past lives that I felt like I had emotional memory of in meditation. So there's even, if you want to look at it on the esoteric level too, some people don't believe in any of that, but I've had enough experiences I do, and that's just the way it is. I've had my own experiences, and I'm not telling anyone else what to believe. I'm just saying I've had my personal experiences that I've also discussed before on this channel. And anyway, we just talked for a long time, and I just went through, again, things that did happen to me that I felt feminine in childhood at times and teenage years. There were instances, and some through my adult years where things came up that I tried to block out. So that incident happened, and she's like, well, your dad wants you to talk about it. He's like, I'm his dad. He's all we got. And it's just, and I just told her, I said, well, I will. I said, it's just hard, because me and him have had differences before, and I think he'll be accepting of whatever I do, but there've been times I butted heads with him over things he had said to me about kind of things similar to what other men have said to me over the years. I've said this before, the typical suck it up job. When I've had issues at jobs, it felt like it was always my fault, and it wasn't always my fault. And I'm not saying that's what he meant in every instance when we'd have disputes, but a lot of times I felt like he was pinning stuff on me. And I guess what I'm saying is the experiences I've had with many men throughout my life is they're conditioned that way. The man tropes, I call it. They'll say things, the typical tropes, of just do it, just suck it up, men don't cry, men don't have feelings, all this bull crap, that I now can see through all of that BS, but there was a time I couldn't, and that stuff would really affect me. And I think in some ways he's conditioned that way too. His dad or his stepdad that raised him wasn't always, I don't think, very feeling toward him. So anyway, there's that. So that weighs on me, I guess, is what I'm saying. So that stuff depresses me because my mom cried, and then she's heard all this stuff about hormones, and she said, well, you've never wanted to take medicine, and how's that going to affect you? And I said, well, I haven't made any final decisions. I said, that's just why I go to therapy. It's just why I'm cautious in what I do. I said, but at the same time, I can't wish away the dysphoria. And that's what people that don't have this situation, it's just like depression too. People that don't go through depression, they don't understand. That's why they say bull crap like shut it off and all this stuff. A lot of people, or they try to demean you, and they don't, or people that are bipolar, have personality disorders. If you don't have any of that, or go through that, or haven't went through any of that, you don't know. And same thing with gender dysphoria. If you have that, you can't wish it away. I've tried to shut it off, like depression. I've tried to shut off. You try, and sometimes you can temporarily block this stuff out. Sometimes you can distract yourself, is what happens. Sometimes you can meditate and temporarily block it, but even meditation doesn't make it go away. Meditation just kind of gives you clarity on what you're going through. It doesn't make depression just disappear, or it doesn't just make the gender dysphoria disappear or go away. You still feel it, and that's what happens to me. Especially here in my home where I live alone and I can explore on my own, like with my makeup that I'm doing on here and I've been practicing, or I can be myself, which is definitely more feminine here by myself. But even at work, I'm more feminine because that's a workplace where I can actually be that way. I mean, I spray perfume on myself at work, that we have, because I like it. It's just simple as that. I like it. So I do these things. Anyway, it depresses me that my mom and my stepdad now are racking their brains, I think, over why. But I do the same thing to myself, and we don't have the answers to why everything happens in life. Fortunately, just some things happen. And I told her, I said, I can live as a guy. I said, it's not like I have to do anything. I said, I can just try to block out the dysphoria. I said, I could try to just act like it don't exist. I said, I used to be, when I was these fake guy characters, I would try to be more masculine and do things to pick up more women. And I told my mom, I said, it is kind of funny because I said the old me would probably, the old fake masculine type guy I could be, or those different characters would probably look at the job I'm at now in the adult store and be like, oh, I could pick up girls here or whatever. I remember telling my therapist that, and I said, but now I don't look at it that way. I actually look at that as kind of an immature thing. Okay, I'm gonna go work in a workplace just to do that. But what was interesting, and my therapist thought the same thing. She said, "You've grown past that." I said, "Yeah, I would like to think so, because that was a fake character too. And who wants to work in a place just to uh, try to pick up people?" But I was just thinking to myself, this is what the old me would do. But what was interesting is my mom was like, "Yeah, you were handsome. You would do that." It's like she was encouraging it. And I was thinking to myself, I don't think it's good to encourage, but I guess she's just scared of that the fact I might really be trans, and might decide that it is the best thing for me to pursue for my own happiness, my own peace of mind. But what I told her too is, I said, "Well, Mom," I said, "you know what? The old masculine me probably wouldn't have even took that job. And the reason is, yeah, I might have thought, oh, I could pick up women, which is just, it's immature and misogynistic." But I said, the old me probably would have never applied there. And the reason is because I was being a fake hyper-masculine character that wouldn't want to handle dildos or handle lingerie or handle the women's part of it. And now I don't care, because I'm being myself, and I don't mind at all doing any of that stuff. It's fine. So, the old me probably would have never done that. So it's just a lot of things that have been happening, but I think a lot of my depression is coming from my parents being distraught, and then my own resistance, because I feel like the dysphoria and staying kind of where I'm at right now, like an in-between place, kind of stuck, is that it causes stomach issues with me, I believe. And it's causing, sometimes I have body aches that when I'm being more feminine and being more myself, those things alleviate. And I've heard of other people with gender dysphoria that have had that happen too. And then when they started to move in the direction toward how they actually felt, that stuff went away or it dissipated. Because I've had doctors before, I've had ulcers, but besides that, I've had doctors tell me some things I just don't know why I've had issues. It's like autoimmune type stuff. And people can get that from stress and from not being themselves, and from a number of reasons, from depression, from whatever. So, yeah, it's been tough. But anyway, I'm just trying to deal with life. And the other night, something else, this is just random. I said I was going to probably talk about some random stuff. I don't have a washer and dryer here, so I have to go wash clothes. I don't wash clothes a lot because I don't go out a lot. So I don't have, I let them build up, and then I take what I have and go. So I worked the other night until midnight. I came home because I'm a night owl, and I got all my stuff together, and I went to the laundromat because I figure, okay, nobody's going to be there. And usually I'm right, because I didn't go till about after 2 a.m. Some people probably think, oh, it's crazy. Now, I will say this, if I transition to a female, I would be more careful about doing things like this, because that's the other thing that's caused me resistance. Just going on a tangent there, is that I know my life would change a lot, because as a male, I've went out to the park at night. I've went out and sat in the woods and things in the early morning and after dark. And for a female, it's more dangerous. It just is. And so that's the other thing that's probably caused me resistance, because I know I'm trying to weigh the pros and cons. I know certain things in my life I have to be more vigilant about. I think I'd be happier as a female, but some things I would need to be more aware of my safety, things like that. But anyway, getting back to the laundromat, I say that too because I get there and there's just a couple there, and there's a couple there washing clothes. They're almost done, but they're fine. They seem perfectly fine. They're about to leave. But then, as I've encountered in laundromats before, not this one really hadn't been a problem, but it seems like the homeless people find out about these places. And this is back in a neighborhood with a couple of office buildings where you wouldn't think they'd find out, but they do. And homeless guys in there sleeping in the floor. And I'm not, like a lot of people, I'm not coming down saying, oh, this is despicable, this is whatever. I mean, I try to, it kind of made me uncomfortable, but at the same time, I try to put myself in their position because we have an epidemic in this country with it and have for quite some time, and it's gotten worse, it's grown, but a lot of people just come down on all of the homeless population like they're just all on drugs, or they're all bad, or they're all deserve what they got, and that's just crap. I've been close to homelessness a few times in my life because of my mental illness and the issues I've faced and not being able to cope with life before. Depression, things like that can lead you easily to losing everything because you're already in a place where you don't care about living and you don't care about stuff, so you can easily, I've been there, and even though now I'm somewhat better than I was financially, I'm still not where I used to be. It's just easy. Life's fragile. I guess that's what I'm saying. Life is fragile, even for the very wealthy. There's been very wealthy people just lose everything before for different reasons, or they have all the money but lose their health, and they just pass away, or they get very ill and can't enjoy anything they got. I mean, life's just fragile in a number of ways. There's no real security in this life. You let anybody tell you that, it's crap. I mean, can you develop more ways to try to control some things in your life? Sure. But there's no 100% security in this world. This world is just a crazy place, whether it comes to wars, to weather, to not being able to control other people, and what other countries do, or other people do, or drivers do. There's all kinds of stuff. So life's just fragile. But getting back to this guy sleeping in the floor, actually, he just never woke up while I was there. He snored some, and what I ended up thinking was, I actually was texting with a young woman I know in Turkey, and I know her from old Instagram I was on, and we've been friendly for a little while. And as I sent her a little video of me being in a laundromat, and she's like, "What are you doing there?" I was like, "Well, I'm washing clothes. What do you think I'm doing? I'm in the laundry. That's what it's for." And she said, "Oh gosh, she's in Turkey. Everybody has washers and dryers." And I was like, "Oh wow." I said, "No, not here." I said, "My parents have them." And I said, "I've had them before." I said, "But where I live in this apartment, they don't have the hookups, and I've been here for years. I'm just used to it." But anyway, I told her there was a homeless guy sleeping in the floor there. And she just said, "Eerie, that's eerie." But anyway, the more I got thinking about it just to myself, I was just like, what's this guy been through? What's his life like? What made him end up there? Because I know I've almost been there. So I wonder, how he ended up. What made, some people say, how the hell could you sleep in a laundromat floor? I thought about that. Where people have walked all day, bugs have probably been there, or who knows what's been there. But you put yourself in someone's position like that, it's possible he's been sleeping out on the street somewhere, out in the cold, on a bench, in the grass, any number of places. So if you were in that position, then coming into a warmer place and sleeping in a floor inside a safer place, warmer place for the night, you would feel like that was so much better. Where those of us who have a home to go to and a bed, and we have furniture and we have things like that, we take for granted. We think what he's doing is an atrocity. But really, it would be a step up for him from being outside in the elements. So, what I started thinking was, I have no idea how he got to where he's at, and I hope he's dreaming about something good. It's what I thought, because I thought about how I get depressed even with having a home and having a bed to sleep in. I still go through deep depression that could lead me to having more health problems, or could lead me to losing things or whatever. It could. I hope not, but I'm realistic about life, and what I've been through and what people I know like me have went through, and so many people with mental illness issues go through. People with gender dysphoria go through. But usually, if you have gender dysphoria, you probably do have some other things going on too, because it can easily cause or have depression associated with it and other things associated with it. But I was just thinking to myself, I know how often I feel bad or miserable on days, and I just hope this guy's having a pleasant dream about maybe his childhood, where there was a good time in his childhood, or maybe where he did have a home. Maybe he's able to at least have peace while he's asleep. So instead of just condemning this man or condemning all these people that go through this, I was just trying to have some empathy and think about that as I was washing my clothes. And I will tell you, otherwise, I was not feeling good that night. I was in very depressed state, but I needed to get that stuff done, and they had piled up a lot. I needed to wash my bedclothes, and but I did not feel good. I really didn't even want to be there. So this is some of the stuff I've been through here lately, and it's just been rough. So now it's been 2.5 weeks since I've gotten to go to therapy. That's been another factor. Sometimes I get to go weekly. Sometimes it's every 2 weeks. This time it's been another stretch. And that's just because she has so many clients she has to see. And I understand that. So I finally get to go tomorrow. And the thing is, tomorrow when I go, I almost canceled it because I was like, okay, I go there tomorrow, but then I got to wait. She's close. Her office is close to where my job's at. So you're talking about 30 minutes away. So I work tomorrow too, but I don't work for like 3 hours after I see her. So it's like, I got to wait somewhere for 3 hours. But it's just important I go, because I need to talk, and I talk to you guys, but I need to talk to my therapist, and she cares about me, and I know she can help me. She always does. And so I'm going to go, and then I'll go to work. And that's the other thing, even though my job has been tolerable and it's been better than the other jobs I've had, and it's accepting of me, and I can be more me. I'll be honest with you guys, I'm still not thrilled about leaving my apartment. Especially when I get real depressed, I'm not thrilled about having to go to any job, because I feel like I'm, well, for one, I just a lot of times want to be left alone because of what I go through. I'm not saying that's the healthiest thing, but I still go through it. I don't want to work anywhere hourly, really, but I do understand that that's where I'm at in life. It's the way the system's set up. I often feel like I'm in some form of slavery. And I know what people would say, just, again, suck it up. This is the way life is. I'll just do it. This is what we all do. Whatever. But still, I think it's a form of slavery to some level, that, the way it is all set up, we have to go into places. So many of us, I'm having empathy for many people. I do feel this way, that they have to go into places they don't want to go. And I know many people go into much worse places they don't want to go. And places I absolutely hate. Now, I will say I don't hate this place. It's not like that. It's just I still, oftentimes, it's like, okay, I realize in the back of my mind, I'm only doing this because I had to find something that I could tolerate. But if I didn't have to do it and I just had money, I wouldn't do it. I guess that's what I'm saying. If I just had money or I could survive and be left alone and not have to go and, work hourly somewhere or whatever, I just wouldn't. But because I have to do it, I had to find a place I could tolerate doing. So I struggle with that. I guess that's what I'm getting at too. I struggle with that too because of my depression and just wanting to be. I wish I just had enough money each month. I'm not even asking that. It's not even like I'm saying, oh, I should have a lot. I just wish I just had enough to survive and not have to do that. But it is what it is, and I understand that. So that's in my head too. But what I did to bridge the gap with not having therapy for 2.5 weeks, so sometimes I did this tonight, actually earlier tonight. Sometimes what I do is I call in the United States, and I think in Canada you can call them too. I call Trans Lifeline. And if you're going through gender dysphoria or anything like that, that's a hotline you can call, Trans Lifeline. And they are trans individuals who volunteer to talk to you on there. And that helps. It has helped me at times. And the person I talked to earlier tonight helped me a lot. Gave me quite a bit of. I talked to a trans male. I have talked to trans females before, but this trans male actually had a lot of clarity, a lot of thoughts about his own experiences of what he dealt with before he transitioned. And I was able to go through a lot of things I'm talking to you all about. I was talking to him about. So, anyway, I guess things could be worse. This is something else I look at too. I could be addicted to drugs. I'm not. I did want to go get alcohol last couple of nights, but I didn't. And I'm not saying drinking's just bad. I mean, if you have a couple of drinks, that's one thing. But I have had a history before of alcoholism. I've had bouts with it at different points in my life. So I didn't do that. And it's like, you need your money. You don't need to just be spending it on that. What I have been addicted to, it's kind of funny though, I guess, is chocolate Moose Tracks ice cream, dark chocolate ice cream. I can eat that stuff by half a tub when I buy it. And no, I don't gain a ton of weight. I've actually wanted to lose more weight because, my dysphoria, and maybe it's something to do with, well, I'd say I have some body issues, maybe some body dysmorphia, probably because of my dysphoria. And, I look at myself and I want to be smaller because of my femininity. I want to be tiny in a sense, but so I go through that. But anyway, my addiction has been this chocolate ice cream. I've been doing this for a while now. So, but what happens is I won't eat a lot of other stuff. That's how I compensate. So, I eat small when I get up. I might eat oatmeal or eat peanut butter and oatmeal. And then I eat a very small lunch. If I eat lunch, I have black coffee because I like black coffee, but it works out for me because no calories. So I do things like that to compensate for indulging in the ice cream. And I guess I do that to get a euphoric high, dopamine. I get a dopamine hit from the chocolate ice cream. And it's weird. I feel like it's kind of childlike to me. And that sounds silly, but it makes me feel like I can just be like kind of childlike, innocent. It dissociates me. It's a way I dissociate. A lot of people say disassociation, but the proper word is dissociate. dissociation. That's a way I do that, is eating the ice cream and watching TV. I'll watch a favorite show or movie. Um, Lately, I've been watching Cobra Kai on Netflix. And there's a couple of, might be a couple of LGBTQ movies I watched on Tubi, which is a free movie network. And I've been watching the old Batman series from the 60s. If you've never watched that, a lot of people just think it's silly and that's it, but it's actually really got a great sense of humor. There's actually sexual innuendos in that show, and a lot of adult humor that you could watch it as a child and love the superhero aspect of it, the comedy camp of it. But as an adult, you can enjoy the adult camp of it. And a lot of people know Adam West from being the mayor in Family Guy, the voice. I think he was the voice of the mayor before he passed away in Family Guy. But of course, he's known for playing, Adam West, known for playing Batman in a 1960s TV show. So I've been watching that. I'll watch movies or I'll watch things like that. What else did I watch? Gabby Petito. I like true crime docs. Now, I will tell you, the Gabby Petito documentary made me cry. Being more myself too, I'm more sensitive. I let my sensitivity come out. And I felt so bad for her. That was so horrible. And I watched the one YouTube video she got to finish before he killed her. And it's horrible. So yeah, I watched the Gabby Petito thing. I watched the OJ documentary too on Netflix. But anyway, I'll do these things and eat my chocolate ice cream. And of course with you guys, I have my coffee. Love my little Santa cup. This was my Aunt Vicky's cup. One of the things I got from her after she passed away from cancer. But anyway, I'm just saying I could be addicted to drugs. Just like I told my therapist about the ice cream, and she said, well, I like chocolate ice cream too. She said, you could be on heroin. You know, she said she's seen people she's dealt with come in there that were alcoholics that were yellow. Their skin was yellow, I guess because of their liver. You know, it's true. I mean, considering everything I've been through in my life, I mean, I'm still here, and I am amazed by that. How am I still here? Why am I still here? I have to ask myself that too. Why? Why me? Why am I here? Why do I deal with gender dysphoria? But also, why am I here? Why am I left here? You know, I'm like, why am I left here to? I don't know. I guess I'm losing my train of thought in a way, but I just don't know. But, you know, my therapist's like, well, you could be on heroin, you could be an alcoholic, you could be having a lot more addictive troubles. And I guess I say that too, because besides the chocolate ice cream, something I feel like affects my energy more is edging. And I'm trying not to get too explicit here on YouTube with this, but you know, I've had issues before with watching, we'll call it corn, as some people do on here, because YouTube don't like that other word, but I've had addictive issues with that before. And that's another thing too. I do notice guys that come in the adult shop, I feel like really have issues with that. And it's not that I'm trying to judge them. Me and my therapist talked about that too. She said, it's not that you're necessarily judging them. You just see them, you observe and realize you've evolved a certain way past where they're at. And I think that's true in some ways. But, you know, do I still look at the DVDs and look at the things there? And sometimes, I mean, a lot of times I'm looking at the DVDs because I'm looking at the women and I'm looking at their makeup and I'm looking how pretty they are and I want to look pretty. So I'm looking at that aspect of them. But also I am thinking I'm still attracted to women. I've thought, being a trans woman, I would be a trans lesbian, but I don't know for certain because on hormones it could change more some people it changes their attraction more. I do find some men attractive, but I'm still mostly attracted to women. But in any case, I'm just saying I see men come in there that you can tell, not making fun of them or nothing like that. It's just you can tell it's their life. A lot of that is their life. And I guess I just feel sad for some of them. Because you just get a feeling from some of them that's what they look forward to, is going home, just watching their adult movies and playing with their toys that they get, and that's it. And I'm like, wow, and I don't have, what happens with me is I'll edge. And what's interesting about it is I don't let my energy go. I practice retention. And I think it's okay to say this. There's guys on here that do videos on this semen retention. So I practice holding that. And I have this time over 5 months, but I still edge. Because I know how to orgasm. I know how to produce that through my body. So I can move the energy up from edging and move it through my body and have these crazy experiences that feel amazing. And me and my therapist have talked about that, and I said, I feel it's cool in a way because I can do this thing that most guys would have no clue on how to even do or even know they could do it. Maybe it's like tantric. Maybe some people would compare it to that. And there is a video on here. I think you can look it up, look down my list. It's about the paranormal, and I talk about stuff I've been through. And I feel like I learned this through a paranormal experience. I had some paranormal experiences that showed me how to do this. Let's put it like that. And because I had no clue. And anyway, what happens is I can edge. And now that I've held in my seed or whatever for 5 months, I can move that feeling up through my body, and it's so powerful that I feel like it's just an explosion. But it's amazing, it feels amazing, and it's very addictive. But what happens is it still eats up energy. But what I find is I've been practicing this retention routine I started doing it off and on since the end of 2020. And the reason is I wanted to see if there was anything to it. Like, there were guys saying, you retain energy by doing that, and you could get off the cycle of addiction to corn. And it's true. I was releasing my energy, releasing the seed 3 and 4 times a day back in the day, back before I ever went through any spiritual experiences, before I went through the bad breakup I went through at the end of 2019. Before any of that, I was most of the time doing like a lot of guys do. A lot of guys do this. A lot of guys release multiple times a day, and they wonder why they feel bad. They wonder why they are addicted to corn. They wonder why they feel in low vibration all the time. And like I said, I still go through depression and things like this, but I'm not addicted like I used to be, and I don't release like I used to. But I guess what I'm saying is I could still get into cycles of edging, which still eat up time in my life, where I'll be, I could do that for periods of time, because the feeling, those explosive bodily feelings, are addictive. It's a dopamine rush, very big dopamine rush. But what happens, I find, is still, even though I'm holding the actual seed, which I think is still good, because if I was to lose it, I know from experience, just losing it makes things worse for me. Makes me feel like really low, and it takes time for that for me to come up from that low. I already have problems with feeling low, so it's like I don't want to release that totally and feel really low. And I know from experience that's what happens to me. So I resort to the edging, and I can control myself to not release myself, but the edging still eats energy. I guess that's what I'm saying. It still eats energy. It'll still take up time. It still gives me a dopamine rush. So if I don't edge and I try to get away from it, I get withdrawals from it. Just like you do any addiction. I'll get withdrawals not eating the chocolate ice cream because of the sugar. So, it's just, but I guess I was going through all this because there's just levels to everything. But what I will say, as far as the retention goes, from my own experience, and again, this is something a lot of guys, they don't want to hear it. They think it's bull because they can't do it, or they won't even try it, or if they try it, they can't do it. It's hard. It is hard to do. But I'm just saying, again, I've had experience with this, and I just know from a few years of doing it, or really, over 4 years off and on practicing it, anytime I've released the actual seed, I've felt just worse than just the edging. So I try to just take the lesser of what makes me feel worse. And, but anyway, my therapist is just like, well, you could be doing so many worse things than the edging, than the ice cream. So anyway, I've been on here a while, but I just figured, that's how my channel is, guys. Sometimes I just like, I'm not always picking a specific subject. I just get on here and talk. I know some of you are fine with that. And anyway, I am hoping I get to feeling better. I do get tired of this deep depression. And I do hope soon maybe I can make a more definitive decision on moving forward as far as do I want to take hormones or not, and things that are really important in trying to move forward in my life. Anyway, you stuck around this long. Thank you, and I'll talk to y'all later on. Bye.